Engineer Leo Fitz and biochemist Jemma Simmons are some of the most beloved characters to ever spring from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, or indeed, any Marvel property. The sustained strength of the performances by Iain De Caestecker and Elizabeth Henstridge, which bring them to life, is similarly lauded by fans. But Fitz-Simmons might just have an importance beyond all this, and because the result of this month's nail-biting Patreon vote ended up going against Over the Hedge, that importance is what we're going to talk about today. Now obviously we'll need to get into the weeds of the show a bit here, so if you are looking to avoid spoilers for a show that began airing over a decade ago, this probably isn't the video for you, just an FYI. But if not, let's start. Who are these characters? Well, to begin with, Fitz and Simmons are newbies. Bright newbies, but newbies nonetheless. After graduating from the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy and spending some time in the labs, they join Agent Phil Coulson's team as their first experience in the field, and that's where we meet them. Initially, they're decidedly side characters, role players. They pop up to contribute plot-moving technobabble or to create helpful gizmos and doohickeys.
Whoa, shit! That's the night-night gun.
It's on my stuff and it doesn't work, and there's no way we're calling it the night-night gun.
But before too long, we do get some exceptions to that pattern. Episode 7, FitzSimmons, sees the pair sciencing as normal, but also sees an early highlight moment of Jemma's. As infected by an alien virus, she just up and jumps from a plane to try and stop the virus's spread. But don't worry, she's okay. It's cool, but it's also one of the first times we'll see the sort of steel will and instant resolve that'll become more visible in this character over the years. In the following episode, Jemma has another important role.
Just say something. Anything.
You certainly have a gorgeous head, don't you? I like men that are about my height but heavier than me.
Stop talking.
And Fitz gets some time in the spotlight too. He's sent on a dangerous mission with Ward, and alternately flounders.
Две водки, чисти. Один для меня, один для моего друга. Yuri.
Can you ask what beers that they have on tap?
It's just like me for real. And surprises.
A little to the left, Vladimir. Can I get a little more light down here, Marta?
Of course, Mishka.
Thank you, sweetheart.
So, let's talk business.
One thing we see here is the fish-out-of-water appeal that's made available by characters like these two. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't the first or last project to exploit the fun you can have putting indoorsy types in high-stakes situations, but episodes like this show the mileage early S.H.I.E.L.D. gets from this. Another thing that shines through in this episode, though, is the power of the Fitz-Simmons bond. It's suggested that the fire in Fitz's belly that gets them out of South Ossetia in one piece results from a desire to show himself Ward's equal, to prove it to Jemma and to himself. But the bond's physicalized most clearly in a prosciutto and buffalo mozzarella sandwich with just a hint of pesto aioli. Great, now I'm hungry. Jemma had made Fitz this as a packed lunch, his favorite, and this sandwich and what it represents keeps Fitz going, even as he contemplates sleep in a cold, dank Caucasian sewer pipe. It is about the sandwich, Fitz is hungry, and come on, it sounds delicious, but it isn't just about the sandwich.
Oh, the sandwich, how was it? Too much aioli?
It was delicious.
Another early episode is set at the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy, Fitz-Simmons' turf. They're practically Beanox, and yeah, that leads to a fun shakeup of the cast's status quo. After the Season 1 schism, they're part of a whittled down, toughened crew, and they lose that newbie label soon enough. Their story is also a spin on that friends to lovers thing, but the handful of road bumps S.H.I.E.L.D. throws their way, love triangle, time displacement, death, along with the lengths these two go to in order to overcome them, do a good job of differentiating this take on the trope from the many others, to the point that this is inarguably peak MCU romance, and it's not even particularly close. They're a key part of this show. They are its heart. But what do I mean by heart? Because shows aren't people, or animals, or Time Lords. They don't really have hearts. When people use language like this to analyze TV, they are of course doing so figuratively, and that means my pithy little phrase could be standing in for a few different claims. The fun thing here is that all of them work. I could be arguing that they're the heart of the show because of how much they drive the plot. How much of the show's big storylines result from their actions and their character traits? So much of Season 2, not merely their kind of thorny storyline, but the knock-on effects of Gemma's secondment follow on from what happened between them at the bottom of the sea, and that new dynamic that emerges. Gemma's disappearance catalyzes much of the following season, as does that new dynamic and Fitz's rescue efforts that follow. This is even more true from Season 4 onward. The LMDs, the framework, Fitz's future rescue, the Season 6 search for Fitz that follows, the way Season 7 springs from Gemma's clutch moves at the end of New Life, they are more or less the plot's prime movers in the show's latter years. And while the quick overview I've just given sounds superficial, the point I'm trying to make isn't really. Again, these developments largely flow from character. Gemma's Season 2 stuff comes in large part from the fact that she doesn't want to confront the aftermath of that Season 1 ending. So much of Fitz's questionable choices through Season 4 are either direct daddy issues or indirect ones. You get the idea. So that's one model of heartness these two satisfy, but it's not my favourite. Another way to look at this is, which characters is a show at its best focusing on? And if you do use this lens, the answer pretty much remains the same. There's some great, touching stuff with Coulson, Daisy gets plenty of killer material also, but the trend that's hard to ignore is that most of this show's best episodes revolve around the Fitz-Simmons duo. This, too, is more readily observable after the first year or two, but even to begin with, the aforementioned FitzSimmons is an early ratings spike on IMDb, and I've seen it thrown out by fans as one of the first signs of the show's eventual quality. Later, of course, it becomes more apparent. There are exceptions, turn, what they become, as I have always been, of course there are, but beyond this, the first real jaw on the floor, wow, this show is sick actually, episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D's middle years, are surely the Maveth episodes, especially 4,722 hours, which is practically a solo carry job by Gemma/Henstridge. The duo are also front and center for the unrivaled heights of Season 4. The LMD arc is basically the Fitz trauma arc, and let's not forget the show's absolute high watermark, Self-Control, whose Fitz-Simmons focused star and wider quality I've praised before on this channel. Equally, the peaks of Season 5 are, I think, Fitz's. Rewind and Devil Complex spring to mind, not to mention the fact that the show's 100th episode, that is the milestone most TV shows use to kind of self-consciously ruminate on their own identity, that's their wedding episode. Even the comparatively weaker Season 6 inarguably peaks in the latter-day Fitz-Simmons epic Inescapable. When you think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you think of these episodes. You think of the stories that alternately tear apart and smash together these characters and their attendant baggage. But does this qualify them as the show's heart? Well, maybe, but I think I do have one better metric, and I've been saving it for last. What is the core concept of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D? What is the show's basic conceit? A superhero world with the focus on normal people. In a Marvel Cinematic Universe, which had at that point kept the spotlight firmly on the powered, the heroes, the great men, S.H.I.E.L.D's big swing was a pivoting of that spotlight away from center stage and toward the background players, toward the stagehands even. S.H.I.E.L.D's pitch is for the human alongside the superhuman. It's the idea that this can be just as interesting to the viewer, even the superhero fan. The idea that we don't necessarily watch Marvel stuff for the powers, but for the emotions, the drama that are brought out by heightened situations and the way characters react to them. The idea that people, just people in a heightened world, can be as compelling as that world's heightened heroes. Sure, some of our characters do become a little exceptional themselves. Powers are neat. A world with powers is a world with some fantastic storytelling potential, but that isn't why you start watching this show. And it's not really what keeps you watching either. The real reason I think the Fitz-Simmons duo is the heart of this show is that more than anyone else, they personify this core concept. They exemplify the human, not superhuman focus of the show. Yes, a lot of the best episodes revolve around their input, but they never fully usurp the protagonists. They're never turned into the main players on that stage. Their position on this show is the position of this show. They are the S.H.I.E.L.D. to Daisy, Coulson, May, Yo-Yo's Avengers, and they emerge as the most captivating part regardless. Or take the fact that they're crazy smart, but they never do a Tony Stark, never make themselves superhuman, even though, yeah, they probably could if they really wanted to. So, in a sense, the on-screen dynamite of Fitz-Simmons is S.H.I.E.L.D's success in miniature, because they stay human, and despite that, because of that, they win. Against Hydra, against aliens, against a universe that seems determined to keep them apart. What's more S.H.I.E.L.D. than that? I think that about wraps it up for this Patreon community video. I have a couple other videos touching on this show, which you should be able to see by clicking up in the corner now. YouTube's added this thing where if I remind you to like and subscribe, those buttons glow. Isn't that fun? And don't forget that if you want to have your say in what gets made for this channel, you can do that too by signing up on Patreon from as little as £2 a month. Personally, I am hoping Over the Hedge wins next time, but it's up to you. And thanks so much to all my current supporters on YouTube and Patreon, especially Hanan, Daniel Goldhorn, Karen Kuhlman, Magath, Ryan Emily, Something Capitalism Bad, Thomas R, and Weirdy Beardy. See you soon.